Now, this illumined consciousness that we are seeking, this illumined consciousness that in part we are attaining, will bring ultimately the experience that the Master tried to give us in leading us out of life under the Hebraic law into a new life that was to be lived by grace. You must first of all understand that the Master recognized two states of consciousness. You might call it two kingdoms or two worlds. You know that by his statement, my kingdom is not of this world. So you know that as far as he was concerned, there were two states of consciousness. Now the nature of those states of consciousness is revealed in this. The law came by Moses. Grace and truth came by Christ Jesus. Now, let us have the meaning of this, because this also is part of the goal that we are attempting to attain, and in a measure we are attaining. As human beings, we lived entirely under the law. We were governed entirely by certain laws, physical laws and mental laws. But the greatest law of all of them, and the one that has really worked havoc in the life of mankind, is the law of as ye sow, so shall ye reap. That which we have named karma, the karmic law. Actually, the karmic law is this law, as ye sow, so shall ye reap. As you do to another, so it will be done unto you. Do unto others only what you wish them to do unto you. You'll be sorry if you don't, because of that law of as ye sow, so shall ye reap. Now just think that as human beings you have been living under that law, and therefore every time that you have thought, even thought, an unkind thought toward anyone, an untrue thought toward anyone, a malicious, a sensual thought, you have set in motion the law of karma, the law of as ye sow, so shall ye reap, so that you have decreed for yourself that what I have just sent out, I am calling back unto myself. That which I have just done or thought to another is certainly coming back at me. As a matter of fact, you remember the Master said that you don't necessarily have to kill a man in order to have punishment come back on you, just to be angry with him, to think it. You don't have to commit an offense. Think it. That's very strong medicine, isn't it? When you stop to think of how uncontrolled our thoughts have been at times, with anger, with resentment, with something of an unjust nature, something of an untrue nature, gossip, scandal. And then remember, I have always wondered why this has come upon me or that, and I didn't deserve it, and now I know I did. Now I know I set in motion the very evil that has come upon me. Now, as human beings, that's the way we live. But the Master was trying to elevate us into another consciousness where this law does not operate, where there is no longer a law of weather to affect you, or a law of climate, or a law of matter, or a law of poison, or a law of germs, nor a law of karma. His entire mission was to lift us into a state of life where law did not operate, where karma did not operate. Of course, they missed the point entirely. And so we have been these 1700 years living under the law instead of under grace. What is grace? Grace is living in absolute, complete harmony in every department of our lives, without might, without power, without effort, without taking thought, without earning it, without being deserving of it, just as a gift of God, as an heir of God. Think of that. Go back to the statement. You are a creature who is not under the law of God, neither indeed can be, except the Spirit of God dwell in you. But if the Spirit of God dwell in you, then are you a child of God. And if a child, an heir. And if an heir, heir to all the heavenly riches. Now here you are, as a human being, you are not under the law of God, not under the grace of God, really, not receiving the gift of God, the protection of God, the support of God. But if so be the Spirit of God dwell in you, all of this is wiped out, and now you live by being an heir. You don't work for anything, you inherit everything. You don't labor or strive or struggle, you receive it as a gift of God, the grace of God. And this is what the Master has been holding out to us for 2,000 years, and we have been too blind to accept it. Now, how do you come out from under the law, have the Spirit of God dwelling in you so that you become children of God and live by grace? First of all, you study the four Gospels, more especially the Sermon on the Mount. And as I've told you in the new book, that final third has made this whole thing so clear that I'm sure every one of you will understand it with sufficient study. The first step is in reviewing the Sermon on the Mount and seeing what the Master told you must be given up. In other words, that part which is called, ye have heard it said of old. And you have to be sure that you're giving that part up. And then this, where he says, but I say unto you, you have to become consciously aware that you are trying to fulfill that side of the Sermon on the Mount. While you are doing this, you simplify it in this way. Realize every single day, and if necessary several times a day, that I of my own self can do nothing, either evil or good. That I of my own self wish to do neither evil nor good. I wish to be only an instrument through which God's love reaches this world. Not my love, God's love. Not my gifts, God's gifts. Not my goodness, God's goodness. Be sure that each day you realize that whatever of a negative nature is still in your consciousness is not yours, it's impersonal, it's of the carnal mind, and therefore can produce no evil. And that whatever of good is in your consciousness is not your good, it's God's good. Then you are dying daily to yourself.